Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we are in the garage today and we won't be working on any of the cars, truck, SS, or Corvette, but we do have a new item for the Corvette. It's in a very big box, and let's just go ahead and show you what it is. Alright, so basically you guys can see we got this big giant box that says Kong Performance, and if you look on the side of it, that pretty much tells you what it is. And yes guys, this is an Edelbrock sticker, and yes, I'm fully aware Edelbrock made this. What we have down here is a 2650 for the Corvette. You guys will remember a couple years ago, I shot a video about the 2650. You know, Kong had come out one for the ZR1, Boost District had one for, it's pretty much a universal kit, and Harraphead was developing a kit for the LSA ZL1 application. They never did anything for the ZR1. And also Magnuson, I may have mentioned Magnuson in that video, I'm not sure. I don't think the Magnuson version was out yet. I think Magnuson has had one or two generations of the 2650 that they make. And in that video I went over, you know, basically a cost per horsepower performance analysis on that. And basically it was the fact that, you know, we still had a stock bottom end. I still have a stock bottom end, but, you know, that may or may not change in the future. And a bunch of reasons why I broke down each blower, the Boost District versus the LS9 or the 2650. Since I made that video, I've actually slowly been collecting parts secretly, I just haven't shared it with you guys, of all of the LS9 parts that we're gonna need. So basically what we're gonna have is a LS2, LS3 wet sump with an LS9 blower supercharger and the front engine and accessory drive on my Corvette. Yes, there are differences. Yes, we're gonna have to rewire some stuff on the car, move stuff around. And I basically found two guys that I had to work with to get all the parts that I needed. First was a semi-local guy. I actually haven't met him, but he's a tuner, not terribly far from where I live. He was parting out his LS9 stuff and going with a twin turbo setup. So I bought a bunch of parts from him. I actually think I got the water pump, the power steering accessory bracket, power steering pump. Those two parts may as well be made out of unobtainium. It took me 2 years to find those. So I got those parts from that guy, and then I found another guy who was parting out a ZR1. I'm not sure what happened to the car. Oh, I think he bought an LS9 crate engine, that's what it was. So he was selling off all the accessories that he didn't need, and unfortunately he wasn't selling that power steering bracket. So I bought the alternator, the air compressor, the brackets, pretty much everything else that you need off the car I bought from him. Some of the power steering lines too, I think. So I basically bought those two parts from those two guys. But like I said, the one guy parting out the crate motor, I actually just contacted him through eBay, and I eventually got his number, and we worked out a better deal to just, you know, do kind of a group buy, a bulk order of all his LS9 stuff. I bought all of that, and we have 99% of the stuff that we need, and that kind of led to, okay, I still need the blower, I still need a supercharger lid, I still need the supercharger coolant bricks. We won't go into that in this video, but I did finally make a decision, and as you guys saw, we ended up with the 2650. Is the 2650 totally overkill for our application? Yes, yes it is. I'm going to be buying the biggest pulley that I can for that, and I think it might almost be a 4-inch pulley. I think it's like 3.875. It's a pretty big pulley, because basically, guys, I still have a stock bottom end on that. Yes, it's got CNC ported heads, but it still has those Hyper-Technic cast pistons. It still has the stock rod, stock crank. And if I turn the wick up on that thing, you know, I don't want to know what could happen. I could blow a motor, I could destroy a cylinder head, I could crack a rod, blow apart the pistons, anything could happen. So we're going to be using this, obviously not right now to its full potential, because, you know, we still have a stock engine. And the other thing is, I am pushing this 2300 I have on here from Edelbrock. I have their E-Force supercharger kit. I have the smallest pulley that you can possibly get on that car. I think it's pushing 17 pounds of boost, and it's only making, I think it was 715, 705. It's only making just above 700 wheel with a E85. Yeah, I think we still have plenty of injector on that. I need to reach out to my tuner and see what our injector duty cycle was, but you know, we're pushing that thing. I've got upgraded lid. We've ported out the front of it. We've pretty much done everything that you can, except for like a built motor and a built cam. we've got ported heads that we could do to that supercharger, and it's only making 700 wheel. Now guys, the biggest pulley on this thing should at least make 700 wheel, so I'm not really worried about chasing horsepower just yet, but until we get a built motor for that thing, you know, it's kind of stuck where we're at. And another reason that we're gonna be switching over to all the LS9 stuff is I'm still getting belt slip, even with a upgraded tensioner, you know, bigger pulleys, ATI pulleys, all the stuff that you could do. It's because I think we have like a 107-inch belt length, or 111, something like that. It's a really long belt on that car. It goes through the power steering, the alternator, the water pump, the harmonic balancer, the 2 tensioners, pulley. You know, it goes through a bunch of stuff. You know, that accessory drive doesn't have a dedicated supercharger belt. That was one advantage that we had on the SS behind me, was it does. The LSA and the ZR1 LS9 both had their own dedicated supercharger belt, and that's kind of what I've always wanted. And we only have a 6 rib. You know, you start looking into converting that 6 rib to a 10 rib, 8 rib, whatever, you're still looking at thousands of dollars. So you have to get custom pulleys made, you have to get spacers made. I'm not even sure a 10 rib would have fit on the main bracket that comes off the water pump for the Edelbrock E4 supercharger. I think that was another thing I was going to run into. I have to get spacers, all kinds of stuff, and again, kind of leads me back to the LS9, to where everything should bolt on. There would be some modifications we have to do because it's OEM LS9 car, OEM LS2, LS3 car, but that LS9 setup is a 11 rib supercharger, and you know, those guys still have belt pulley issues, but you know, much better aftermarket. It's 11 rib, it's got its own blower belt, and you don't have a, let's just call it a 100+ inch belt, a serpentine belt, driving everything, and this will have its own supercharger belt, like I said. So, with that being said, I think we've gone over some of the benefits of why we'll be converting to the LS9 setup. Let's go ahead and get the 2650 opened up. All right, guys, I will say one thing. The box arrived in pretty good condition, but the tape they used, I've used this tape before, this brown shipping tape. Obviously, Kong has their label on it. They didn't apply enough water on it, because you guys have to, it's an adhesive that's activated by water, and you know, like I said, I've used that in the past, and so a lot of the tape has actually come up, and I mean, I'm not too worried about it, but you know, just something to know that, you know, there's no shipping tape on here. Oh, I do see some copper strapped. Okay, so it is at least strapped down. But yeah, like I was saying, this tape needs a proper adhesive and needs more backing, more water on it. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get this thing open and show you what we got. Guys, this is deja vu from about 7 years ago. It's got the same, yeah, this has the same packing sheets that Edelbrock provided me with my first E4 supercharger with the 2300. It's the same setup. It's actually printed in color this time, but they give you some instructions. Check for damage, check, there's O-rings. Bypass valve, make sure it's fully installed. No longer need the factory electronic solenoid. Yeah, that's true. Our car is not an LS9 car, so I won't have that solenoid that we've got to hook up. So, all right. That's. I don't want to say anything negative about Edelbrock and how they package this. I just kind of expected more. And what I mean by that is, they only did the packaging on the front. If it were me, I would have put another bag under there and inflated it with that foam that foam that grows. And yes, I mean, I see there's some gaskets and stuff down there, but yeah. So here is our Kong 2650. That's going to be the biggest one I think they're ever going to make for the LS9. And this will should bolt right on to our LS3 heads. So let me get this out, let me get it flipped over, and we'll show you what the bottom looks like. Okay, so here's what the bottom looks like. It does have the machined O-rings for those gaskets, so that's cool. And the other thing I noticed it doesn't have the locating pin that I had to actually cut off on the LSA. What I mean by that is there's actually a dowel pin between the cylinders on, I don't remember if it's on the passenger or driver's side, but basically I had to cut it off so that I could locate it, because my LS3 heads, ported heads, didn't have that same dowel rod on it, so I had to pull, you could either pull it out or cut it. I think I just cut it. And yeah, so that's one thing we won't have to worry about, is cutting that dowel rod. So, all right, so there you go. Oh, there's some ports right here. That's awesome. I don't remember seeing that on the earlier version. I do remember seeing some people complain about that with the 2650s, particularly the Kong ones, that the IET sensor was in a real crappy location. So I think with that being ported, we could pull that out and add a IET sensor there if we needed it. So that was the bottom of the supercharger. Here's the front. Guys, I believe this is 112 millimeters, and I think Kong will be doing a 120 millimeters, so you might need an adapter or port this out a little bit eventually. But, you know, so this does go up to 112 millimeters on the throttle body. And if you guys look here, this is the Edelbrock hub. And why I call that, it's because I have the same hub on my 2300 right now. I actually could put the 2300 pulleys on here. Obviously it won't work because the belt drive's a different, you know, the belt drive's probably stepped out differently on the LS9 versus the LS3. So yeah, it uses that same hub design that Edelbrock uses on their E-Force, the 2300s. So to be honest, guys, you know, like I said, I recognize the Edelbrock sticker. We know Edelbrock manufactures this. They cast it in their casting facility. Greg might put the blower stuff in it. I don't know, maybe, or maybe he's completely outsourced it to Edelbrock to manufacture every part of the supercharger. I just don't know. So pretty much gonna be utilizing all of the stock hoses on here, because I'm actually already running some LS9 parts. So this should, you know, all these accessories should plug and go. Like right here, this is the brake booster. This is going to be the, I believe, the fuel pressure evap canister, charcoal canister hose. I believe that will swap right in. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure what this port is, but it's probably something to do with the vacuum source or the, you know, the PCV system. So that stuff should all, we'll have to figure some of that stuff out. And one more thing before we go, I do want to say the price on that. I'm not gonna give you an exact total of what it was, but let's just say they had a one-day sale in July. I don't know when you guys will see this video, but they had a one-day sale. I think that basically matched their Black Friday sale, and it was $1,400 off. So to put that in perspective, guys want between $2,500 and $3,500 for a stock blower. If you're gonna go with one of the aftermarket companies to port it, so Joker's, Kong, or Synergy, you're gonna want another $2,000 for the port job. So say you spent $3,500, your blower just became $5,500. And then on top of that, two of those companies want the Lingenfilter snout that's 108 millimeter, and that is $1,400. So $5,500 and $1,400 is a total of almost $7,000. Guys, I paid nowhere near that. For me, it's much cheaper to go the brand new supercharger route versus going the used route. You know, going by line item, you know, we are definitely ahead by dang near $2,000. So yeah, almost $2,000. So for me, you know, it's much better just to upgrade to the 2650. Now, if you have a ZR1 and you're not swapping anything, obviously it's probably a better deal to go with the port job, get that snout, you do things in stages and then get it all ported, and you know, you can break things down over time versus me having a one-time cost of buying the blower. I don't have to get anything ported. I could bolt on a 112 millimeter throttle body right onto it, and we should be good to go. So I do have to buy a throttle body, do have a couple more parts to buy, but yeah, that is further down the road. Now, when do I intend on installing the supercharger? Guys, that is TBD. The reason that is TBD, I still got a couple more parts to buy, and also I want to drive the car. I actually just got the car registered yesterday, and in a year, so July 31st to July 30th of 2022, I drove the car 98 miles. Yeah, that's pretty bad. And actually 20 of those miles were driving to go get inspected yesterday. So in reality, in a year, I only drove the car 78 miles. I want to drive it, take it to events and stuff, and go from there. So we will see this supercharger sometime in the future, and like our first iteration, this will be, I'm going to kick off a whole new build series. We're going to call it like version, I think we're on version 5. We're going to wrap up version 4 with the body kit and all that stuff. We've still got some stuff on that, and we'll go from there. So if you guys want to see those Corvette updates, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. If you guys want to help support the channel, check out all the links down below. I'll drop a link down to Kong Performance. No, this is not a paid advertisement. I just really got a really good deal on that. And as you guys saw previously, we did install one of their intakes, so check them out. And also make sure you check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. All of our sales on there go right back into the channel, right into the projects, and will help me pay off that supercharger. So thanks, guys. Have a great one.